Africa is edging closer to health sovereignty with a major breakthrough in local vaccine manufacturing. In South Africa, Biovac has begun clinical trials for the country's first orally administered cholera vaccine developed on African soil. Now, this milestone, backed by the International Finance Corporation, the private sector arm of the World Bank Group, is part of a broader effort to build a sustainable vaccine ecosystem across the continent. And it aims to reduce Africa's heavy reliance on imports, strengthen pandemic preparedness, and to position the continent as a global manufacturing hub for both traditional and advanced mRNA vaccines. Well, to help us understand what all of this means a little bit more for Africa's health and security and pharmaceutical future, we're now joined from New York by Dr. Michael Schunk, who's a senior industry specialist in the IFC's global health team. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, Michael. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. My pleasure.
So let's start with a broader context. Why is this cholera vaccine trial such a significant milestone for Africa's manufacturing ambitions?
This vaccine that is being manufactured by Biovac is it's hard to understate the importance of it. Like, very importantly, to be the first new end-to-end vaccine on the African continent in many years, with the clinical development and all the manufacturing steps carried out entirely in South Africa. And it begins to answer the Africa Union's call for vaccines to be made for Africa in Africa. Additionally, the product and timing are extremely important. Cholera outbreaks have been reported in 22 African countries this year alone, and yet the global manufacturing volumes are insufficient to supply the needs of all the countries. And there's currently no cholera vaccine produced on the continent. And so by producing this vaccine locally, Africa will have a critical tool to be able to respond faster to outbreaks, improve health outcomes, and demonstrate the continent's growing capacity to deliver essential medicines that address its own health priorities.
What exactly has the IFC been able to provide financially, technically, or even strategically to make sure that these trials come to life?
Yeah. Well, IFC's role is to help build the manufacturing backbone that Africa needs to produce vaccines locally and at scale. So we've had an initial investment of 120 million Rand for Biovac, and that supported the existing manufacturing facilities that are used not only for producing and filling the cholera clinical trial vaccine, but will be eventually used for the commercial production of the vaccines. The Biovac facility itself is versatile. It's capable of manufacturing a broad range of vaccines, and it brings capabilities that are expanding on what has been seen before in Africa. And this is part of a broader IFC commitment as an active partner in helping build the necessary ecosystems, working closely with the Africa Union, Africa CDC, and other global and regional partners to strengthen the vaccine production capacity. Ultimately, our goal is to help Africa meet its targets of producing 60% of its vaccine needs locally by 2040, and ensure faster access, stronger health security, and greater self-reliance in the face of future health emergencies.
So the IFC often talks about de-risking private sector investment in health manufacturing. In simple terms, what does this mean? How does it work?
Well, what IFC does is it brings in not only financing, but supports business planning and additional investment sources to help the companies come up with a sustainable way to take investment and expand their capabilities.
From your observations, what has been holding African countries back from producing their own vaccines at scale?
Yeah, Africa's challenge has been rooted in a combination of structural and market realities. Until recently, you may have heard this, but less than 1% of the vaccines used on the continent were manufactured locally. And so there's that heavy dependent on global suppliers that becomes more exacerbated when there's health emergencies. But there's been underinvestment in things like regulatory, the infrastructure, and not only Africa. This has been in many other areas of the world, and so as and this has been for all vaccines, not just specifically cholera. Vaccine production requires highly specialized infrastructure. It requires skilled, specialized technical capacity and rigorous regulatory systems that meet global standards. So part of it has been the focus and investment that's been available.
Dr. Michael Schunk, this sounds very exciting and groundbreaking. Thank you so much indeed for joining us on this program. And I know it's pretty late at night where you are, but thanks so much for giving us your time.
No, my pleasure, and best wishes.
That was Dr. Michael Schunk, who's a senior industry specialist in the IFC's global health team, helping Africa edge closer to health sovereignty. Very exciting with this major breakthrough in local vaccine manufacturing in South Africa. Biovac beginning clinical trials for the first orally administered cholera vaccine. A story really to get excited about.